kill themselves. I mean, as
I'm
much
with
as I
you.
would want to
Yes,
prevent them, if
yes.
they're my family, I would go in and take their guns, but I wouldn't call the cops on them. I mean, it's illegal to kill yourself. Okay, anyway, keep going.
Don't hold.
The Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,298. Silver at $14.77, and Bitcoin is trading around $7,965. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, a California jury on Monday ruled that Monsanto must pay a record $2 billion in damages to a couple diagnosed with cancer after using the company's weed killer, Roundup. The anti-media reports the jury ruled that Monsanto, acquired by the German pharmaceutical giant Bayer last year, is liable for the family's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, the third such ruling in less than a year. As The Guardian reported, the latest verdict is the largest by far and will increase pressure on Bayer, which has suffered share price drops in the wake of the verdicts and is now facing similar lawsuits from thousands of cancer patients, survivors, and families who have lost loved ones to NHL. Winnoa Howder, executive director of Food and Water Watch, said in a statement that the California jury's decision shows that there's more than enough evidence that Roundup is an environmental and public health nightmare. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. In April, Washington Governor Jay Inslee signed a bill allowing students to consume medical marijuana at school. The new law expands the state's medical marijuana program despite federal prohibition. A bipartisan coalition of 2 representatives and a senator sponsored House Bill 1095. Under the new law, school districts in the state must allow students with a medical marijuana card and parental permission to consume marijuana-infused products for medical purposes on school grounds, aboard a school bus, or while attending a school-sponsored event. Schools will be required to formulate policies accommodating such students. The House passed the final version of the bill by a 79-16 vote. The Senate approved the measure 41-4. With Governor Inslee's signature, the law will go into effect on July 28th. The Free Thought Project calls it another example of the rapidly expanding availability of marijuana despite federal prohibition. Passage of the bill further undermines prohibition, making it that much more difficult for the federal government to enforce it. Self-declared Venezuelan interim president Juan Guaido has ordered the setting up of a meeting with the U.S. Armed Forces to discuss cooperation in his efforts to oust President Nicolas Maduro. The anti-media reports that during a gathering of supporters in the upper-middle-class Caracas district of La Mercedes on Saturday, Guaido informed that he was instructing his representative in the United States to establish a direct relationship with the U.S. Southern Command, which plans, oversees, and controls all U.S. overt and covert military operations in Latin America and the Caribbean. The initiative, led by Guaido, stokes increasing fears that he looks to oust Maduro using a foreign-led intervention. Italian newspaper La Stampa published an interview with Guaido on Friday, in which the opposition leader explained that, quote, if the North Americans proposed a military intervention, I would probably accept it, end quote. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Republicans back a plan for universal lawn care, and an RC car works up the courage to approach a group of girls. And now a recap of the week's news for those who like to waste their summers surfing the internet. Fall, the long-running series of shorter days and cooler nights, was canceled this week after nearly 3 billion seasons on Earth. The classic period of the year, which once occupied the coveted slot between summer and winter, will be replaced by new stifling humidity levels and near-constant sunshine. A shiny, bobbing object in the water is generating fascination among members of the fish community, who have described it as pleasingly wiggly and minnow-esque. Aquatic experts say that decisive action must be taken against the object very soon. In local news, just when 27-year-old Andrew Sheets didn't think his vacation could get any better, a rerun of Spin City came on. And in other headlines, a bee stuck between the screen and front door is going nuts. And a water skier lets go of the crossbar to greet those not currently water skiing.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome to the Call to Freedom. It is Wednesday, May the 15th, 2019. I am your host, as always, except on Tuesdays now. And I may still intermittently do Tuesdays. I'm not 100% decided. But anyway, I'm, as always, Arya DeMezzo, author of Dancing in Hellfire, which you can find on Amazon, joined, as always, by
Michael Hampton from BitcoinHistory.com, and it's good to have you back.
Thanks. I hear things were a bit spotty yesterday, which is expected. I mean,
Yeah.
but
You got someone new trying to run the show, and it doesn't have it all down yet. It takes a little practice.
It does. It definitely does. It's very different sitting here and having to worry about all of this. Now, he didn't actually have to worry about all of this, thankfully. The phones is probably the most complicated aspect of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I mean, anyone who messes around with music, and I realize I have an unfair advantage in this note, being a musician and a tech person, I fall right into exactly this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm familiar with the mixer and making it do what I want it to do. The phones are probably the most complicated. Did you guys get a phone call yesterday?
We got a phone call, but they hung up before we could take it.
That seems to be how it's going. People seem to think that, they can just call into the show and we can take it.
I think we did get another phone. I don't remember. I also did Free Talk Live yesterday, and it all just kind of is blurring together at this point.
Really? I do both on Mondays, but I mean, now that I'm hosting both, evidently, they will probably start to bleed together. Because I'm basically just sitting here for 6 hours doing stuff, which is fun. I don't mind. I enjoy doing it. It's all great. But I do need downtime. I did some shrooms yesterday in my downtime. It was awesome.
How did that go?
It went very well. It went better than I expected, and I experienced no anxiety from it, which is interesting because, I mean, even MDMA has triggered anxiety for me, where I basically ran and hid for 5 hours in a closet or a tent or wherever I happened to be that would isolate me from anyone and everyone. Even ecstasy had that effect, but the shrooms did not. So that was a pleasant surprise. I'm interested in pursuing that further. Probably will do so next week. But it's very introspective. So it's not the kind of thing that I can just do and then come to an episode of Arya Uncensored.
Yeah, probably not. Well, then again.
Yeah, I'm never doing another episode like that, though. So obviously can't do Arya Uncensored while on shrooms, which is unfortunate. Maybe LSD or something, except that lasts for like 8 to 12 hours, and I do have to drive home eventually after Arya Uncensored.
Yeah, it might be a little difficult to drive when you're...
Yeah, that's probably not the best idea. I could probably get a ride from someone, but...
Yeah, see if that one Uber driver is awake.
Yeah, so, or, there's cell 411, or I can probably talk Ian to give me a ride if he's not, hammered. So stuff going on in Iran. According to The Onion, Iran has had the audacity to put their country right next to our carrier strike group. in a bizarre act of aggression. I think that's a valid criticism, really, because we're doing the same thing with China, right? Where we send forces just outside of the South China Sea, and we accuse China of aggression and territorial expansion. Meanwhile, we've claimed pretty much the entire globe. If they're not surrounded by missile silos, they're surrounded by military bases. And if they're not surrounded by either of those, then they are the United States.
The U.S. pretty much has a hegemony pretty much the whole worldwide at this point.
And that seems to really bother a lot of people who aren't on the winning side of that hegemony, as one might reasonably expect. And, you know, that's the latest argument against the whole "you should move to Somalia" thing, or "if you don't like America, why don't you leave it?" Well, because I really don't want to become a victim of its foreign policy. Its foreign policy is basically just drop bombs on everyone.
Yeah, kill everyone and sort it out later.
Yeah, and I really don't want to participate in that. I don't want to support it with taxes. I did that backwards. And I don't want to be a victim of it. But in other less distressing, I suppose, news, it's possible, according to the Daily Hodl, which is a website that I just learned about today, that 30,000 mainstream stores are to accept Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Ethereum. Now,
this is the Spedden app.
Yeah, and I haven't read the article yet, but as I understand it, it's more than likely going to be like the Starbucks thing, which is not that Starbucks themselves actually takes the cryptocurrency. They still get USD, and it's this third party that takes your cryptocurrency. It's basically just a live exchange.
That's exactly what they're doing. We talked about this on Free Talk Live last night.
Right, but this isn't Free Talk Live. We have a different audience.
I know. So I'm just saying so that you know.
Okay.
But yeah, and I don't have your article pulled up in front of you. But just kind of summarize. Yeah, it's the Winklevoss twins that are behind this, and they have an app called Spedden, S-P-E-D-N, where they reverse the N and the D, kind of like they reverse the L and the D in hold.
Okay.
So this app, which unfortunately is only on iOS right now, lets you put crypto in it, in Bitcoin, BCH, Ethereum, or their own little stablecoin Gemini. And you can take this app, go to any of these stores like Whole Foods, Lowe's, Starbucks, what were some of the other ones?
I'm sure the article has the list, and we're going to get into it.
Yeah.
And the company accepts the app?
The company, what happens is you use your phone at the point of sale, kind of like we already do, and the company gets your crypto and they give the merchant USD.
Right. Well, I'm not a particular fan of that. It's a good step in the right direction. It's consumer friendly. It allows a person who has cryptocurrency to spend cryptocurrency, which is great because that's the entire point. And Bitcoin, you really need to get off your crap. You are useless as a currency. Yeah. Holy crap. How do you charge me an 8% transaction fee and then take 2.5 hours to get a single confirmation?
Yeah, Bitcoin is pretty much unusable at this point.
Meanwhile, Bitcoin Cash charged me about 0.001% in a fee, and within half an hour it had 8 confirmations. It's absolutely ridiculous just how out of bounds Bitcoin really is, and how drastically superior Bitcoin Cash and Dash actually are.
Bitcoin, I don't know what the Bitcoin developers are trying to do with Bitcoin, but it's not what Satoshi had in mind.
I know what they're trying to do with Bitcoin. They're trying to make it a source of revenue for miners. That's exactly what they want to do. That's why the blockchain, not the blockchain, that's why the block size definition continues to exist. Why they didn't increase it, why they just put a Band-Aid on it, because they want to artificially lower the number of transactions they can process at any particular time, so that in these periods of high volumes, miners make more money. Instead of miners competing with one another for our transactions, you and I end up competing with one another to get our transactions recognized. It's completely backward. And that's exactly what they want.
Well, eventually that has to backfire because people are only going to put up with it for so long before they switch to another crypto.
Yeah, but Bitcoin is the big name in cryptocurrency. It's the one that people have heard of, and it's the one that most people are probably going to buy as their introduction to Bitcoin or to cryptocurrency.
They've got first mover advantage.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So as long as people are doing that, sure, once we hit actual mainstream and we have, 50% of the population out there actually using cryptocurrency, Bitcoin will begin to die off because of all of these terrible decisions. But until then, the people buying into it, as we climb to that 50% threshold, which we are still very, very far away from, are just going to be dumping money into these miners who will also, and this has been proven, people with the capabilities to do this have actually proven it. These miners will also create revenue neutral blocks and confirm them themselves in order to create more traffic on the blockchain. This, obviously, is
not good for Bitcoin's users.
No, it's tainting the supply and demand of processing power by intentionally inhibiting the amount of supply. This is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more of this story.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Fact. The new NSA data center in Utah requires 1.7 million gallons of water every single day to operate. Billions of Fourth Amendment violations need massive computers and the water to cool them. That water is being supplied by the state of Utah. Fact. There's absolutely nothing in the Constitution which requires your state to help the feds violate your rights. Our message to Utah: turn it off. No water equals no NSA data center. Visit offnow.org.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. And as always, you're invited to give us a call. That number is 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or if you want clearer quality, you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. Now, there's not a lot more to get out of this story about crypto mainstream stores accepting it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we already speculate. Well, I speculated as soon as I saw it, and Michael has since confirmed it. The stores themselves are not actually accepting cryptocurrency. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it would be a better thing if the companies themselves took it directly.
Yeah, that would be a lot better.
I think this is a first step to that. But what a lot of these companies are more comfortable with is not actually holding their own money. They're used to dealing with banks and Visa and MasterCard and who do their processing for them.
And fiat currency.
And yeah, and who process their apps. Well, yeah, but the fiat currency goes into banks. So, I mean, it's not sitting there in their possession at all times. With cryptocurrency, it is. So I think that's going to have to be something they come to terms with and end up, being okay with. It would be a challenge, but this is why multi-signature wallets exist. It would be a challenge to have, one person in the accounting department have access, essentially, to all of this cryptocurrency because she would need the private keys in order to see the balances.
Mm-hmm.
However, with multi-signature wallets, you can still, I think, you can have them set up in such a way so that the balance is available without being able to actually send cryptocurrency out of the wallet without the other signatures. I'm not positive. I've never messed around with multi-signature because I've never needed to. But I'm sure that there is tech support out there that could help them do it. The problem is it's not actually centralized in a way that they know who to talk to. Even if they were interested, if Walmart wanted to accept Dash, who could they actually reach out to?
Nobody. I don't know.
No, it would be extremely difficult for them to find such a person. And that's why I'm okay with things like Spedden and, in particular, AnyPay. I think AnyPay.global is going to be the way this is handled in the future, and it's beginning to flourish here in Keene and in Portsmouth, I believe.
And all over New Hampshire and a few other places.
That's right. They do accept it up in Lancaster at the one restaurant up there by PorcFest, or Rogers Campground rather, which I'm still not. I said I wasn't going to be attending, but I've since spoken with Roger Paxton about attending, and it's ultimately going to come down to whether or not the LRN studio is going to provide the equipment for the event. If they are, then I might as well go. As much as I hate other human beings, and as much as I am antisocial, that was really the main reason I wasn't excited about going. The only reason I was able to pull through it the previous two times was because I was with Will Coley, who's extremely extroverted and who almost literally dragged me around talking with people. I'm not going to do that of my own accord. If left to my own devices, I'm going to return to my hotel room and sit there chilling all night long. Simply, I may have one or two people, over, but that whole large crowd thing, not interested. And that's what PorcFest is. It's just a large crowd of people. And, it was This is related to what happened last night on Shrooms, so I'm not going to get further into it. But cryptocurrency is usable at that restaurant by PorcFest, so it is all over New Hampshire. I would like to see it spread, but it's going to require integration with their bookkeeping software. Perhaps, there's no perhaps to it. It's QuickBooks. 99% of the time, it's QuickBooks.
Yep, every small business is doing QuickBooks.
Yeah. It may occasionally be Peachtree. I've dealt with one company in my entire IT career that used Peachtree, and even they ended up ultimately moving to QuickBooks. But yeah, all the others, it was QuickBooks. So a QuickBooks integration, I think, would be a positive step in the right direction.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't be simple for them to do, but if they can code something like AnyPay in the first place, they can code a plugin for QuickBooks that is capable of utilizing cryptocurrency in its accounting. I think ultimately that's going to happen because at present, as we talked about before, there is no actual communication between the actual point of sale and the device that's utilizing AnyPay software.
Right.
The only communication is that the customer...
The customer gets to...
well, not the customer. The worker there ends up totaling it out in the cash register, and then they get the total and they put it into the AnyPay software. They mark it as paid, and then I don't actually know what they do to reconcile it with the cash register. It doesn't have a paid with crypto button.
Yeah, they usually don't.
No, so I imagine they just zero it out or something.
What I've seen, like on the receipt at Local Burger, is it literally says Bitcoin on there.
Really?
Yeah.
Very
they have like
cool.
a custom payment method.
Yeah, they would have to because AnyPay doesn't print receipts.
The cash register receipt says paid with Bitcoin.
So someone actually coded for them a way of doing this. See, that's what we're going to need, I would think, in the long run in order for this to actually work. Because having them total it out on one device and then get that total and put it into an entirely different device, that needs to be integrated in the same way that it is with credit card payments.
Yep.
They don't have to manually go over there and enter the price again into the credit card machine.
Well, some they actually do.
On very old ones.
Little small businesses with their little payment terminals.
On very old ones.
No, on very new ones too.
Well, I did this for a living for 10 years.
I know you did this for a living.
And I never saw anyone who wasn't using old equipment who had to do that. All the new equipment interacted directly with the point of sale.
Well, I've seen people with new equipment that are still having to put the price into their credit card terminal.
Interesting. Sucks for them.
Sucks for them. Yeah, it sucks for them, but that's what they're doing.
And it's definitely still an outlier. By and large, the communication happens directly from one device to the other. Currently, the only communication between those two devices is literally the coworker who communicates on their behalf. And that's not efficient. It's not good. You want that to be automatic, I think, in the end. And I think in the end, it will be automatic.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I think that's probably the next step for AnyPay. If they're not already integrating with QuickBooks, I would recommend that first. And then perhaps looking into the most common point-of-sale software and how they communicate and code it so that the two devices actually directly communicate. I think that would be a good idea. But of course, AnyPay itself isn't exactly reliable. There's a pretty good chance, too high of a chance, that when you go there to buy something with the cryptocurrency, it's actually not going to be working. It won't give you a QR code to scan. It won't bring up the pad for them to input prices. It needs to be resolved.
I think they fixed most of all those issues by now.
Well, yeah, but they keep making new ones. This is the call to freedom.
Hey, I'm LRN.FM Program Director Ian Freeman. If you're listening to our free-to-air satellite feed in North or Central America, heads up. We've been on the Galaxy 19 satellite since 2010, but now our satellite provider is moving LRN.FM to a new channel on a different transponder. The current channel will stay on the air until the end of May to give you time to transition without any loss of service, so don't delay. I've posted the new channel details at sat.lrn.fm, but in case you're listening with no internet access, if you do a blind scan on your receiver, you should see the new channel at transponder 6, 11.8425 gigahertz, horizontal polarization, symbol rate 22,000, FEC 3/4. All that information is at sat.lrn.fm, as well as a link to our Patreon, where you can support our channels for just $2 a month. Visit sat.lrn.fm for more information about our international satellite channels, and thanks for listening to LRN.FM. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep it simple. If something seems complicated, boomers can dismiss it as, I don't need this. And if you're looking for work, you may be applying to a boomer, so relate accordingly. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom, and we've been having a bit of a discussion here about cryptocurrency, which is nice because it's now at $81. Get your over 9,000 memes ready because it's coming, it would seem, whether we want it or not. I don't particularly want it at the moment because I'm making cryptocurrency at the opening of each month by doing Free Talk Live. So for me, I would rather Bitcoin Cash in particular to drop down to like $20 per.
And then come back up to 300.
Yeah, and then come back up maybe 6-7 months from now after I've gotten a nice little stash of it, 6-7 Bitcoin Cash, then it can do this increase.
Oh yeah, okay.
But it's going to go up. It's going to continue going up. So, but I still think it's going to hit $500 by the end of August. By September the 1st, I think we will have seen Bitcoin at $500. I don't
know.
I'm increasingly coming to terms with the fact that I'm almost certainly wrong, but I still have a pretty good suspicion that it's going to happen because this is going to be a pump and dump. I think this is a pump and dump. It's happened before. There's evidence to suggest that the last time when it climbed to 20,000 almost, it was a pump and dump.
Could have been.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen again. It starts climbing. We get more masses of people interested in it. They start buying in. That demand increases the value, obviously, because that's what determines the value of Bitcoin. Next thing you know, there are massive sell-offs and the price plummets. These people who invested money into it, these new people, they become frustrated, so they sell before their losses get even worse than they actually were. So the other people begin to sell, and it's just a cascading effect.
Everyone panics.
Down to about $500, which is where I think everybody, including the people who have never paid any attention whatsoever to it, that is the point at which we will enter the mainstream with cryptocurrency. Because I know a lot of people who have no interest in buying cryptocurrency, but who will admit that, yes, if Bitcoin dropped down to $500 each again, I would absolutely buy some. And I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to see an influx of soccer moms and old people making dad jokes or whatever, just ordinary, normal people who paid no attention to the inner workings of cryptocurrency, finally buying into it, which is going to take the price well beyond $20,000 per, probably up to $50,000 per. And of course, at that point, you know, the late arrivals, the people who bought at $35,000, they're going to be looking around going, where are all of these huge gains you people were talking about? Because relatively, as more people enter in, there is less demand being created versus the demand that's already there. So obviously, we're not going to see any 8,000-fold increases, probably.
Probably not.
We might, but I don't think we're likely to. Not at this point. Bitcoin would have to be worth what? $6 million per to be 8,000 times higher than it is right now.
Yeah, and if Bitcoin is at $6 million, it's because everybody on the planet is using it.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of everyone on the planet, yesterday I sold some cryptocurrency to someone in Venezuela. If you want to help the people of Venezuela, that is the best mechanism for doing so.
Yeah.
They can pay you in whatever way you prefer. They will give you USD, obviously. God only knows how they acquired it or how they held on to it or whatever. Not my business. I don't need to know what they're using the Bitcoin for. So I don't even talk to these people beyond sending them a message that says hello, because for some reason when you initiate a trade with someone on local Bitcoin, it doesn't seem to always notify them. But it does notify them always of an incoming message. So local Bitcoin evidently recommends people to also send an introductory message. So I do. I say hi. And that's it. I don't care what else you have to say to me. I'm not responding because I don't want to talk to you. It's not my business. You are just swapping currencies with me. That's it. I don't need to know why you need Bitcoin, because that's how people get trapped on local Bitcoin. They start doing business with someone who says, oh yeah, I'm going to use this to buy some heroin. Next thing you know, they're in handcuffs for facilitating a heroin trade deal.
Yeah, don't do that. Just no.
No, don't even ask. Don't ask and don't tell.
Don't say, I say hi at the beginning and then thanks when it's done.
I don't even say thanks. I say thank you by leaving positive feedback or trustworthy feedback if it's someone that I know that I've traded with multiple times. But that's how you can help the people in Venezuela as their fiat currency becomes absolutely worthless.
It's so worthless, it's clogging their sewage drains.
Yeah, that's how worthless it is. And the government, of course, is just like, oh, we can just print some more of it. Problem solved.
Again.
But I think a stack of Venezuelan $100 bills, I think it was about 3,000 of them to equal $1 US.
Yeah, it's something so totally ridiculous that these things are literally piled up in the streets, in the gutters.
So, I mean, you could, in theory, accept millions of Venezuelan dollars in exchange for the Bitcoin that you're selling I would not recommend it. I would at the least stick with USD. But of course, in order to do this, you have to leave cryptocurrency. You know, you're selling cryptocurrency. You're not hodling. You're not spending it. And that's where my issue comes in with it. I don't want to get rid of my cryptocurrency. I want to keep it as a long-term investment so that I can retire when I'm 35 years old, right? I realize this upsets a lot of people, you know, because it's supposed to be a currency. It's supposed to be spendable and all of that. And I would agree, you know, that all is true. And I recognize that the two goals are directly at odds, which is why Bitcoin is not a good representative of the cryptocurrency community. So anyway, they're talking about currency in the DLive chat, which is great because we're talking about currency here on the show, totally unlike the Discord chat, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm, which seems to be talking about amphibians and boats.
Amphibians, like the ones that run the world? The lizard people?
Lizards are reptiles.
Oh. Amphibians are what, like frogs?
Frogs.
Oh, the gay frogs?
The gay frogs. Alex Jones, man. So I did not see your question, Stephen. If you would like to re-ask it, I will ask it on the air. Of course, you're invited to give us a call to ask your question as well at 603-283-6160. So our value of money is subjective, and this is a really awesome topic for me because all values are subjective.
Yeah, that's so important.
It is. It's important that we recognize this, and a lot of people can't because then they bring up these taboos. They go, well, what about racism? Is that only subjectively wrong? Yes, it's subjectively wrong. I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's not objectively wrong. Well, what about murder? Is murder objectively wrong? No, nothing is objectively wrong. Morality is relational. It all depends primarily on the circumstances, the motivations behind the act. Not all people who are murdered were killed for the same reason. In fact, most of them were killed for entirely different reasons from one another. So morality or any value system is a way of assigning, obviously, value to various things based on the circumstances that we prefer over the circumstances that we don't prefer. Henry Hazlitt in The Foundations of Morality described this as trying to turn an is into an ought. So what he meant by that was that this is the way it is, and this is the way it ought to be. And the action that takes us to how it ought to be is considered morally good. The action that takes us from how it ought not to be is morally bad. But again, the person making that assessment is doing so on the basis of their own values, which is why it comes back to the Dunning-Kruger effect and to nihilism. Because how are they making a determination between what is preferred and what isn't preferred except according to their own values? This is the Call to Freedom. I promise we're going to talk about money. Don't go anywhere.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. Freedom freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, if you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh. Investigate. Check out the life-changing benefits of the Lighthouse Law Club at their website, lighthouselaw.club. That's lighthouselaw.club. And while you're at it, visit the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. You might be in for a pleasant surprise.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. And we've been talking about cryptocurrency, but before we get back into that, I want to ask you if you've ever wanted to have sex with prostitutes and then arrest them, or bust people for drugs and then sell the drugs on the side for a nice little bonus. If you've just ever wanted to enjoy the power rush of being a cop without all the paperwork, then you should try the Thin Blue Line game, which you can find at thinbluelinegame.com. It's the only card game in the world that allows you to break into someone's apartment, shoot them, and escape accountability by saying it was dark and I thought it was my apartment. Once more, that's thinbluelinegame.com. And for a limited time, you can order your copies using the coupon code CTF to get all shipping costs waived. So go get it now at thinbluelinegame.com. And we've been talking about value. We're about to be talking about value and how it relates to currency. I would think it was obvious to people that market values are subjective and that it is the masses of people coming together and expressing through purchasing and not purchasing what their specific value of an item is. I would think all of that determines a price. I would expect all of that to be just known to people because it's basically a tautology, right?
It's It should be obvious, but it's not. I mean, people believe all sorts of crazy things like the labor theory of value.
Yeah, which is, yeah, true. Good point. That's probably the dumbest theory of value. But I mean, obviously, if a starving man will prefer to buy a steak over buying a house, if he's got $1 million and he's starving to death for whatever reason, and you present him with the possibilities, okay, you can buy this house for $1 million, or you can buy this steak for $1 million. He's going to buy the steak. That's $1 million steak, right?
Why on earth would he do that?
Because the circumstances of his purchase are drastically different from the circumstances of another person's purchase. His value is completely different. The value he places in ending his hunger is significantly higher because he's starving to death than it would be for most people. And this is how our values differ from one another. Just because you're willing to pay $500 for a television doesn't mean I, being a minimalist and a Buddhist, would. I want a television that simply does what I need it to do. And beyond that, I don't really care.
I don't want a television at all.
Well, I do because I use them for my PC. And that's super convenient, right? It's kind of problematic because a television powered by not powered by, but, receiving the input of a computer running at 1920 by 1080, it makes text almost unreadable.
Yeah, that would look a little funny, I think.
It does, but you adapt to it. You get used to it. So value cannot be stored, according to this article from news.bitcoin.com, and many Austrian economists have explained this concept over the years, despite Keynesians and other modern economists believing otherwise. I'm not sure I agree with that concept that value cannot be stored. Isn't that literally...
Value is a concept in your head. Isn't that what we've been talking about this whole time?
Well, it's definitely a concept in your head. But if other people agree to that value, or is some sort of equivalent of that value, like if I have a pound of gold or an ounce of gold, whatever, I don't know what the current value of gold is, but it seems to me like that value is going to be stored within that gold itself perpetually, as long as that demand actually exists. So whether or not value can be stored depends upon whether or not demand can be perpetuated.
Well, doesn't somebody have to value the gold for the gold to have value?
Right. That's why I said the demand to be perpetuated. There has to be a demand for that gold in order for it to keep its value. So the question isn't about value. It's about whether or not a specific demand can be sustained. And perhaps this is why things like engineered obsolescence come into play as ways of perpetuating demand and keeping it at a certain level.
Yeah.
It seems to be simply accepted among teenagers that cell phones are designed to begin tearing up at about 18 months to 24 months. I have never experienced this.
This is really annoying because at this point, the tech in our cell phones is good enough that they should have a useful lifetime of about 5 or 6 years. And
well, my S5 is now going on about 5 years. My S7 is just entered its 3rd year. My S7 is currently broken, but it's not because it was designed to break. It's because I broke it by dropping it onto the hardwood floor.
Oops.
Yeah. And then ordering a replacement screen that was not a screen and that was just the front glass to the stupid thing.
Oops.
And I'm at this point, with crypto values being what they are, I'm not willing to spend the money to get it fixed. Now, if Bitcoin and actually, it's not even Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin Cash that's sitting on that phone. If Bitcoin Cash was to escalate to like $1,800 per, which is about what it was when I acquired that Bitcoin Cash due to the fork with Bitcoin, fun enough. So it didn't actually cost me anything to acquire, but it would cost me something to fix and to retrieve. At $400 per, it's not really worth it to me. At $800, yeah, it would be worth it. But at this point, with the relatively low amount of Bitcoin Cash that I carry around with me at any particular moment, it's just not worth it to repair that phone to retrieve it. When I thought I could get the entire assembly for $30, which is what I thought I was getting, I was okay with that because the price point made sense versus what I was getting off of the phone. But as it is now, and it seemed reasonable.
I was really surprised when you said you found an LCD for $30.
I wasn't, because I have replaced a ton of laptop LCDs in my life, and they range from $79 to about $100. Well, a phone's LCD is significantly smaller than any of those.
It's also got a significantly higher pixel density.
Yeah, it does. But, versus some laptops, I would guess. But it certainly was not the LCD that I got. And I suspect the company knows that, but there's no point in returning it because, honestly, you're going to break your front glass while taking your LCD out. It's unavoidable on the Galaxy S7, so if you're going to order one, go ahead and order both. So I'm just keeping it until such time as it becomes economically feasible for me to fix the S7, because for me, the value of fixing that S7 is not high enough to justify it. Now, maybe for somebody who was just sitting on, $10,000 they had to burn on anything they wanted, they would go ahead and fix it.
Yeah.
Because value, of course, is relative.
Or if you had $10,000 worth of Bitcoin cash on the phone.
Yeah. Oh, I would never have that much Bitcoin cash on a mobile phone. That would be stored on a laptop, the location of which only I knew. But anyway, so the theory of value. A lot of commenters on his previous article putting it into the Bitcoin store of value fallacy, which was one that I was going to get into on the show, but ultimately didn't because it seemed kind of boring. A lot of commenters disagreed with the observations and the theory. Basically, the editorial relied on Menger's definition of value and posited the idea that money, including gold and Bitcoin, cannot actually store value. But again, maybe, according to Menger's definition of value, that's true. But in the Austrian definition of value, it's simply a product of demand. So whether or not gold and Bitcoin can actually store value depends on whether or not the demand for gold and Bitcoin can be sustained. It doesn't have it's not about any intrinsic property of the currency.
It's about whether people actually value this thing.
Yeah. And that may or may not be sustainable, but it certainly can happen. And it can happen that the demand could increase. It could happen that the demand could go down. To say that Bitcoin cannot store value while we're looking at it hovering at $8,000 per right now is absolutely absurd. What sort of definition of value could he possibly be using in order to justify that statement?
I don't know.
So somebody who bought Bitcoin when it was $8,000 is now breaking even. Bitcoin stored that $8,000 of value or whatever amount they actually bought. So I don't know what he means when he says that a currency cannot maintain its value. It seems to really depend on whether or not the demand sustains, because that's what value is. It's just a function of demand. The more people who demand something, the higher a thing's value is, because scarcity is a thing.
The higher the price is.
Yeah, there are a limited number of everything in the universe. Eventually, you start running out. It's all about demand and supply. This is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more of this discussion.
Free Talk Live.
The heavy-handed language that you're speaking out against the government is, I never heard anything like this on the radio.
When the founding fathers decided that the government of England was no longer servicing their needs, they stopped paying their taxes first.
Don't you drive on the roads? Aren't you glad you're defended from the foreigners?
Sir, they stole this man's property. The foreigners are coming to get me. Yeah, they stole these. These aren't foreigners I need to be defended from. It's these people down the street calling themselves government that are willing to steal my property from me and burn my house to the ground, which is what they did to this man.
It's not yours. The government owns it.
Really? Are you telling me, sir, that every one of us are actually serfs? We're actually subjects and slaves to the state? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, if it sounds good to you.
No, that doesn't sound good. I don't accept it. I'm a free man.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,298. Silver at $14.77, and Bitcoin is trading around $7,965. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, a California jury on Monday ruled that Monsanto must pay a record $2 billion in damages to a couple diagnosed with cancer after using the company's weed killer, Roundup. The anti-media reports the jury ruled that Monsanto, acquired by the German pharmaceutical giant Bayer last year, is liable for the family's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, the third such ruling in less than a year. As The Guardian reported, the latest verdict is the largest by far, and will increase pressure on Bayer, which has suffered share price drops in the wake of the verdicts and is now facing similar lawsuits from thousands of cancer patients, survivors, and families who have lost loved ones to NHL. Winoa Howder, executive director of Food and Water Watch, said in a statement that the California jury's decision shows that there's more than enough evidence that Roundup is an environmental and public health nightmare. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. In April, Washington Governor Jay Inslee signed a bill allowing students to consume medical marijuana at school. The new law expands the state's medical marijuana program despite federal prohibition. A bipartisan coalition of 2 representatives and a senator sponsored House Bill 1095. Under the new law, school districts in the state must allow students with a medical marijuana card and parental permission to consume marijuana-infused products for medical purposes on school grounds, aboard a school bus, or while attending a school-sponsored event. Schools will be required to formulate policies accommodating such students. The House passed the final version of the bill by a 79-16 vote. The Senate approved the measure 41-4. With Governor Inslee's signature, the law will go into effect on July 28th. The Free Thought Project calls it another example of the rapidly expanding availability of marijuana despite federal prohibition. Passage of the bill further undermines prohibition, making it that much more difficult for the federal government to enforce it. Self-declared Venezuelan interim president Juan Guaido has ordered the setting up of a meeting with the U.S. Armed Forces to discuss cooperation in his efforts to oust President Nicolas Maduro. The anti-media reports that during a gathering of supporters in the upper-middle-class Caracas district of La Mercedes on Saturday, Guaido informed that he was instructing his representative in the United States to establish a direct relationship with the U.S. Southern Command, which plans, oversees, and controls all U.S. overt and covert military operations in Latin America and the Caribbean. The initiative, led by Guaido, stokes increasing fears that he looks to oust Maduro using a foreign-led intervention. Italian newspaper La Stampa published an interview with Guaido on Friday, in which the opposition leader explained that, quote, if the North Americans proposed a military intervention, I would probably accept it, end quote. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Despite a long-held consensus pointing to the mid-20s as the final stage of brain maturation, a new study has found that the adolescent brain doesn't fully form until boys have avenged their father's murder.
New imaging studies suggest that the frontal cortex goes through extensive changes during the period of training when an adolescent boy prepares himself to track down and kill the man who took his father's life. But it's not until the boy stares deep into the murderer's eyes and then stabs him right in the heart that the two lobes fuse into a fully mature brain.
According to Dr. Laurie's findings, the myelin surrounding the teenage nerve synapses develops when boys stake out the home of their father's murderer, put themselves through grueling physical training, and fantasize again and again about how satisfying it will be when he finally makes the bastard who took everything from him beg for his life.
Now, if they let their father's killer slip through their grasp, or if they press the barrel of a gun to the back of his head and then realize they don't have what it takes to pull the trigger, then the amygdala is definitively stunted, and they'll have lifelong problems interpreting emotional information.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom broadcast, as always, from the Liberty Radio studio here in Keene, New Hampshire. I am your host, as always, Ari DiMezzo, composer of some of the music you will hear here on Call to Freedom. If you don't recognize it at all, actually, that's not, never mind that particular statement. You can find it at soundcloud.com/Aria DiMezzo, joined, as always, by
Michael Hampton from CryptoTip.org.
And while I was out there smoking, I was thinking about the labor theory of value and how... Right.
I'm sorry.
Libertarians, man.
Well, I mean, we've been talking about various theories of value.
What a waste of brain cells.
Yeah, Mark Edge is now joining us. Yeah. Well, I don't know about a waste of brain cells, but it's pretty obviously stupid. I mean, it's not entirely incorrect to say that a person is going to value something they put more work into more highly than something they didn't put more work into.
Absolutely.
But whether or not that value is shared by literally anyone else, because I think it's important to remember that it is the labor theory of value, not necessarily the labor theory of price.
Well, even if, as far as price goes, price is an indication of value. So if, for
on
instance,
average.
Right. If, for instance, you take many hours of your time sculpting a bust of yourself out of boogers, right?
I don't want to know how much time that would take.
It would take a lot, right? I mean, I'm presuming life size, right? And
lots of labor. You own the means of production, so yeah, perfect.
Right. So it's you've got this, and however,
dude, I am so tempted to do this.
I mean, thinking about the amount of time that it would take to do this, I'm just going to go ahead and put this in at 500 hours, right? 500 hours of your time, painstakingly, your passion, blood, sweat, and tears, as it were, to sculpt this bust of yourself out of, dried phlegm. And I don't place much value, and I wouldn't even give you $1 an hour for this thing that you've created, nose hairs and all.
Why not?
But someone might.
Someone might.
I would bet some. Well, obviously, yeah, value varies from one person to the next.
Right. And I think as an artist, if you were like a famous artist, and I don't know any currently living famous artists, by the way, but if you were one of these people that is famous to the people who buy art and you had the name, oh, absolutely, you could sell this. But as Aria DiMezzo,
Dude, everything just went down.
We seem to have lost power here.
Are we still broadcasting?
Yeah,
I couldn't answer that. We just
looks like our signal's still going out. We just have lost the computer.
All right.
Yeah, well, I'll handle this. Talking to Michael Hampton versus Aria here. So, if you have this thing, and of course you're just the regular old person that you are, you're really not going to be able to get the kind of money out of it that you hope to get out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're, let's say 500 hours is what we used here. If you're hoping to get something like, as an expert, let's call it, let's just use 100. So $50,000 out of this sculpture, and we'll presume that it's as lifelike as it could possibly be. It's just vile. And most people aren't going to value the thing, or a lot of people aren't going to value the thing, and most people aren't in the market for it. $50,000 is a high price tag. So you really, 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 really have to find that right person who's going to say, presume that you're going to break into the art world, with this technique that you have of flim sculpting, and that you're going to, make more of these, thus driving up the value of this thing, or in some way, an actual life-size bust of, a person that they've never met and don't have any attachment to is meaningful to them, especially since it's made out of boogers. But other than that, I mean, the market is very, very, very small for this particular form of art.
That's where the labor theory of value breaks down, because obviously to us, not everyone is going to value your 500 hours of labor the same if you made a vile sculpture of yourself from boogers,
right?
As if you made, I don't know, coffee or something.
Coffee is valued ridiculously high in a marketplace. So you can take what your regular old Folgers coffee beans is probably not costing anybody 25 cents a cup. I don't know. It's been a while since I priced this out, but I'm just guessing. And you can go on and go ahead and sell that at a restaurant in accompaniment with food for $1.50 a cup, if not more. If you go ahead and spring for the premium beans, you can probably open a shop and just sell coffee. And presumably the premium beans are certainly going to cost more, but they're not going to cost significantly more.
Right.
And, you've got to pay for paper cups and keep the lights on and all that other stuff. Clearly running a coffee shop isn't a license to print money or anything like that, but
it'll make you a living wage.
It's a remarkable the number of them that there are here in Keene, New Hampshire.
Yeah, quite a few.
There's quite a few coffee shops here.
We even have one Starbucks.
We have a Starbucks, yeah, and a Starbucks it's not much more than, let's see, a Starbucks is a combination of things. It is a pastry shop,
right?
It is a coffee shop,
that too.
It is a basically confectionery shop. So these Frappa Mocha whatevers, not a coffee.
And that's a huge sugary drink with possibly some caffeine in it.
Right. So it's it certainly has the caffeine, but it's still I would say primarily a confection. It's a delivery system for the caffeine. Granted, the pastries are intended as to accompany your caffeine delivery, but ultimately, they're several different things at once. But many of the coffee shops don't spend their time focusing on these large iced confections.
Ridiculous. The ridiculous sugary mocha frappuccino whatever things. Some places just do coffee.
Right. I mean, there's several of them
Espresso.
downtown. Right. Espresso. Thank you for pronouncing it correctly.
Cold
There's
brew.
no X in
Whatever.
espresso. But
there's no X in espresso.
No X in espresso. So, you have a cappuccino or something like that. I think that's legit.
Mm-hmm.
But and I suppose that then we're asking those bottles of colored liquid that they put shots in.
Yeah, the syrups.
Yeah, whatever
The
those
flavored
are.
syrups, yeah.
I guess I can live with those, but I've never had one in a cup of an anything. So yeah, I'm a bit of a purist, although I don't get caffeine in my coffee. So the
decaf, huh?
Yeah, I have to. It's a medical thing for me.
Oh, okay.
And I would say
that's acceptable.
I could make the argument that, in fact, decaf drinkers could potentially be bigger coffee fans than coffee drinkers. Many coffee drinkers are in it for the drugs.
Oh, yeah.
And whereas I'm in it for the taste of coffee.
Yeah, well, I'm in it kind of for the taste of coffee, but I also want the caffeine. That's why I have this humongous cold brew here.
Right. So you'll find in my case, nope, I'm not spending my time on the caffeine delivery. I'm just here for the coffee. I buy premium decaf coffee that I then brew at home and drink a pot every day. There's a dedication to the to coffee in that circumstance.
I don't know how we even got into that.
How we doing, Daria?
We are about completely back up.
Do we have our automation back up?
So were we streaming the whole time, or what was happening?
The stream has been up this whole time, as far as I can tell.
What happened?
Just one of the computers seems to have turned itself off.
Borked.
Well, as you know,
I hope that doesn't happen during my show tonight.
It was Computer 2 that crashed, which isn't a huge deal because it's not the one that handles any of the super important stuff. So we continued streaming. We continued, broadcasting on LRN.FM. We continued all of that, which is great. But for whatever reason, this computer just crashed, and I've now got it back up. It didn't even crash. I mean, it just completely lost power.
Lost power, yeah.
And
I saw the lights flicker, too. So
the lights did flicker, too. I would assume there was some sort of power surge or something like that, and it shut off as a safety measure. I don't know, but it's all back up and running. This is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more of the discussion about the labor theory of value and the actual theory of value.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Hey, I'm LRN.FM Program Director Ian Freeman. If you're listening to our free-to-air satellite feed in North or Central America, heads up. We've been on the Galaxy 19 satellite since 2010, but now our satellite provider is moving LRN.FM to a new channel on a different transponder. The current channel will stay on the air until the end of May to give you time to transition without any loss of service, so don't delay. I've posted the new channel details at sat.lrn.fm, but in case you're listening with no internet access, if you do a blind scan on your receiver, you should see the new channel at transponder 6, 11.8425 GHz, horizontal polarization, symbol rate 22,000, FEC 3/4. All that information is at sat.lrn.fm, as well as a link to our Patreon, where you can support our channels for just $2 a month. Visit sat.lrn.fm for more information about our international satellite channels, and thanks for listening to LRN.fm.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. As always, you're invited to give us a call at 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or if you prefer clearer quality, you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. It does this computer that crashed, it does function as the Discord server, and I'm putting server in quotation marks because it's not actually serving anything, but it is the one with Discord on it. So if you call in via Discord, you will connect to this computer. So if you have issues tonight with it crashing, you will end up losing Discord temporarily.
All right.
So,
well, we're talking about value here, and another thing that determines value to some extent is scarcity, right?
Right.
And perhaps the podcast of this has been lost due to this this snafu.
Correct.
Uh-oh.
And therefore, the scarcity of it has increased. The value of this show, as we speak, has increased dramatically. Well, if you're listening right now, God, you don't want to miss a minute.
For the audio-only version, definitely. Yes. It still went out on YouTube, Twitch, and DLive.
Oh, okay.
And it will still be watchable on there. Of course, the YouTube archive is permanent.
You can rip the audio off the YouTube.
I can, but it will contain commercials.
Okay.
And our podcast.
You can take them out.
Yeah, but that
takes so long.
Oh, yeah, that's going to take you an hour tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's why I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I get you.
on the few
but I would like to make an opportunity here. If you would like that to occur, now's your opportunity to go to the Patreon page.
At patreon.com/call-to-freedom.
There you go, patreon.com/call-to-freedom. We can make that happen for you.
Yeah, we can, indeed.
We're talking about value here, and Aria values her time at...
Call to Freedom.
Well, what number are we talking about getting this podcast done? Rip it off of YouTube, cut the ads out.
Well, it's a bit more complicated than that.
$20 an hour?
You get the video first, and you have to extract the audio from that, which, of course, I'm well-versed in doing.
Yep.
Then you open the audio in something like Audacity.
Yep.
You identify the commercials. Yep. You cut them out.
Yep.
And then you export it, preferably as an MP3.
Do I have to pay you for this explanation, too, the time that they're putting into this?
Well, technically, our Patreon people are paying for the explanation. And, of course... you can help facilitate all of this because the more money we make with Call to Freedom, the less time I have to spend doing other productive stuff that I do,
like working
for money,
working the regular job.
Yep.
Yeah. Ideally, we could get the show up to $400 per week for most of us, for all of us, and just cut the real job out. Which, of course, $400 a week isn't a ton of money to live off of.
It isn't a ton.
It's not a ton of money.
You can do it.
Yeah.
So help facilitate that with patreon.com/call-to-freedom.
Right.
If you like what we're doing.
But anyway.
I thought you loved slinging pies.
We don't talk about what I do on the air.
All right.
I like the people. I did like the people. It's significantly less fun within the last 10 days.
What's happened?
I talked about it extensively on the since deleted, unrecoverable episode of Arya Uncensored.
Okay.
I alone have the archive for that episode. It will never be public because I am not happy with the episode. I'm not happy with how it turned out. I'm not
$200.
No.
Okay.
No, it'd be way more than $200. Maybe
Just seeing what your price is. I just like to know what prices of things are.
Right. I understand that. So, getting back to the theories of value as proposed by various people, of course, I was thinking about the labor theory of value when I was outside smoking, and I came up with the same basic concept that Mark did, which is that, I do have songs on SoundCloud.com/AriDemet, so some of which took me hundreds of hours to write and record and produce. And then I have others that took me maybe 60 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I value the ones that took me 60 hours for completely different reasons. To me, the amount of time I spent working on the song is not the reason I value it. It's what I, did during the song that determines its value, not time at all.
Mm-hmm.
But again, all of that, it's all available for free. So how much can I really value it when I'm giving it away?
Well, yeah, it sounds like you're more talking about emotional, sentimental type values rather than economic value.
There's no difference whatsoever.
Is there?
No, the difference is entirely arbitrary. We imagine there to be a difference there. But the reason that one person values any specific thing, whether they're measuring it in currency or whatever, is because of emotional sentiment. It's because of emotions like desire and want, all of which can be eliminated with enough, self-control and self-discipline.
Okay. I'm going to say that, in the circumstance of something that's replicatable without loss, like a song,
right?
Digital recording of a song, it's that the value is hard to nail down in the sense that you can value it highly and you can give it away and lose nothing in that situation, in that circumstance. So, you can sell it if that works. If people want to pay for it, that's cool.
I would never sell any.
If fewer people will hear it as a result, you may value the distribution of it higher. So, and it seems reasonable that if you give it away for free, more people will hear what you value.
I would agree.
Than otherwise. This is sort of the conundrum that musicians have when they're dealing with, hey, why don't you come to our bar and do a show for free?
Right.
Because now in that circumstance, you're giving of your time and your energy and hours and gasoline and all the other stuff that goes into doing a show. But I mean,
it's tedious.
Yeah. I do think that there are some musicians, aspiring musicians, that could benefit from going to some bars and playing some venues for free.
When I was the lead guitarist of I Over E, we played a lot of free shows at the beginning.
Yep.
And they stopped being free after about a year of it.
Yeah.
Because we were able to charge. And of course, we weren't able to charge like Metallica or anything like that. But, it's all about the demand for our music. The more fans we had, the more we could ask. Because the more people we could bring into the bar to see us.
You built your fan base in those bars, and then later you attempted to sell your presence in those bars to the very same people from whom you built your fan base.
Well, not those specific establishments.
Because it's harder to sell to the ones that already got you for free?
It seemed like kind of a jerk move. They're like, hey, you helped us build this following, and we've benefited substantially from it. Now pay us.
You helped us build this following, and we did it with work by selling drinks to people for you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, personally. Well,
I wouldn't say there's anything morally wrong about it. It was just sort of a symbiotic relationship.
Sure.
Where it would have turned into more of a, I don't want to say parasitic because that's not obviously correct, but into a more business one, I suppose, where instead of,
it's more business.
It's more like us and Rational Review News Digest, where if we were, receiving hundreds of people each week because they were promoting us, and suddenly we say, okay, well, we'll continue promoting your News Digest, but you have to pay us now To me, that would be not necessarily morally wrong, but questionable at the least.
I can see how some people might feel, but if currently you're getting paid X to be on Free Talk Live, if you asked for 10X, I probably wouldn't pay it. But I can understand why you might want to raise your prices. Like, look, my time's more valuable to me today than it was yesterday. So, whatever.
That's a fair point as well. Of course, one person's time. We'll be back.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
Who told you can go this way? You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey,
who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is The Call to Freedom, and I invite you to check us out on social media. You can find us on Facebook by using @The Call to Freedom. You can find us on Twitter by using @CTF_LRN. You can find us on Mastodon on the Liberdon server by using @The Call to Freedom. You can also find us on Spotify, Google Play Music, the iTunes Store, Podbean, and you can talk to us on Discord by using discord.lrn.fm, where there's always something going on in the chat, whether it's related to what they're actually listening to or not.
And usually it's not.
Yeah, it's almost never related to what we're discussing. They just
do their own thing in there.
Of course, you can also follow us on DLive at dlive.lrn.fm and Twitch at twitch.lrn.fm, or on YouTube at youtube.com/AryaDeMezzo.
Now, the chats there usually they are talking about whatever we're saying.
They are almost always talking about whatever we're talking about, which is good. I mean, it's very good. So it's being proposed in the DLive chat, once again, the hysterical fear-mongering about the AI revolution.
Oh,
and saying that, robots are going to eliminate half of all jobs by 2050.
Yeah, I've been hearing this for 40 years. It's not happening.
No, I think it will happen, but they will also create new jobs in order to keep, those people alive.
The robots are coming. The AI isn't.
Well, I think the AI is eventually going to come as well. But, it ultimately is exactly the same thing that people said during the Industrial Revolution. That because there were people even back then saying, this is going to destroy the entire economy. We have to do something about this. It's going to eliminate everyone's jobs. And look, we became the most powerful, the most wealthy nation on the planet because of this. In human history because of this. As somebody mentioned, okay, but half of us already live on the poverty line. Okay, I will grant you that. But you know what else about American poverty? It has put a 50-inch television in every single one of their homes. It has put a smartphone in every single one of their hands. It has put a high-speed internet connection in every single one of their homes. It has put electricity, indoor plumbing, food in every one of their homes. Our poverty, drastically different from the poverty anywhere else in the world. Our poverty is not even recognizable as poverty. The idea of someone in India living in poverty, comparing their circumstances to the circumstances of an American who subsists off, say, $11,000 a year, is absolutely absurd, because there are so many more resources in the United States available at such cheaper rates that the two are not even remotely comparable. Whereas in India, they're probably living at, in poverty in some sort of leaning canvas that doesn't really protect them from the elements or whatever. Or we could just look at London shortly before the start of the Industrial Revolution. And when they began building on marshland that was not actually capable of sustaining houses in order to facilitate the influx of people into the cities in order to get these industrial jobs. We can look at it there as well, and we see exactly the same thing. We see that poverty, and if we go, oh, this is what actual poverty looks like. Okay, I get it now. And they say, okay, but $1,000 in emergency expenses is going to sink. It's going to completely destroy the lives of roughly half the American population. I neither agree nor disagree. I don't really care if that's true or not. The reason for that is not, however, that they're making too little money. The problem with that, the problem with them, is that they are spending too much money. And I have seen this literally my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
I am from people who do exactly this. It doesn't matter when they went from $13.50 an hour to $22.50 an hour. They lived off of one job and a person making $13.50 an hour, and they were perpetually broke. Then he transferred to a different department and was promoted and all of that, and he started making $22.50 an hour. And you know what? They managed to still stay broke around the clock, to the extent that they were borrowing money from me. And I owned my own company, so I had substantially higher expenses to deal with, especially that quarterly tax. that really, really irritated me.
Oh, God, the IRS is so irritating. You think paying taxes once a year is irritating? Try running a business and having to pay taxes 4 times a year.
Yeah, it's extremely frustrating. But, that's ultimately the issue here, is that people are spending too much money. And you could, in fact, give these people $1,000 free dollars every single month, and you know what? They would still stay broke. They would still be out of cigarettes the day before payday. They would still be out of food the day before payday, because that's the way they function.
They haven't learned how to manage money.
Yeah, and they know the basics of how to do it. You know, it's not a hard thing to figure out. Everyone knows how to manage money. They just don't, because they don't live in the world of tomorrow. We've established a culture of instant gratification and now, where it doesn't matter whether or not they will be able to afford cigarettes in 6 days. It matters whether or not they can afford them now. So instead of buying a $20 pack of tobacco and a 200 pack of cigarette tubes from a random tobacco store, that for about like $24 in total, and rolling their own cigarettes for the next week,
They'll spend $6 on a pack.
Yeah, every single day. And by 3 days, usually by 3 days, they've already spent more money on the packs of cigarettes than they otherwise would have. Instead of buying the 32-inch television that's on sale, they go, no, that's not good enough, and they go buy the 65-inch television that isn't. And again, you can watch them do this literally if you know these types of people, because every year, these types of people are the ones who get like $3,000, $4,000, up to $10,000 checks from the IRS. I know someone who got a $10,000 tax return and was broke and borrowing money less than a month later. And it's because they spend it as soon as they get it. Money burns holes in their pockets, and they don't know how to set money aside. Well, they do know how. They just
don't do it.
Yeah, they don't live in it. I am blaming the poor. I am absolutely blaming the poor, because I'm from a poor family. I am from a family that the people I'm talking about, they are literally family members. The person who got the $10,000 check and was broke the next month, borrowing money from me, literally a family member. So yeah, and I'm able to recognize, even as I did bail them out, I'm able to recognize that it was entirely their fault. How do you get a $10,000 check and end up completely broke within a month?
What the hell did they spend it on?
Stuff they didn't need. A new vehicle was obviously first on the agenda, even though one of them is more than capable of buying new vehicles. And I don't want to harp too much on this particular instance, because it's not uncommon by any means. And if you're from one of these places where people actually live in poverty, these places like Arkansas and Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia,
Tennessee,
and Kentucky and Tennessee. If you've actually been to one of these places and lived there, then you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I lived across the street from the projects half my childhood. I know what happens.
They will live in the ghetto with holes in the wall and windows that need to be replaced while they go out and buy 70-inch televisions and $600 sound systems. It's not a very small percentage. This is why they live in poverty. It's a 100% percentage. The only very small percentage of people are those people who are in poverty for reasons they can't control, and who could and do lift themselves out of that situation. That's the very small percentage. By and large, most of them are in poverty because they deserve to be, because they put themselves there. This isn't to say that some people weren't simply born into it and never got a chance to lift themselves out of it. That certainly happens. Not everyone is as resourceful as I am. So it does certainly happen, but by and large, it's still their family's fault. They can still point the finger at someone and say, you're the reason why we live in poverty.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. And if you really like the show, but you don't like the commercials, I sympathize. I really do. There's nothing we can do about them.
The network has to pay the bills.
Indeed. So they're not in the podcast. So be sure to check that out at calltofreedomlive.podbean.com. You can also find them on Spotify, Google Play Music, and the iTunes Store, as well as Radio Public. It was actually put there. The person who did it is a regular
listener
of the show. named Josh. He's a really cool guy. I've talked with him pretty extensively over the last year-ish, I guess. Plays video games, all that good stuff, does his own... I think he's Razor Boy Gaming. I don't remember right now off the top of my head, but I think it's the same person, but I can't thank him enough for that.
I'm sure he'll correct us if it's not.
Yeah, there are people listening. I think he mostly listens to the podcast, but there are people...
I do see him in Discord sometimes.
Really?
Razor Boy Gaming? Yeah.
Well, I mean, just because they're in the Discord doesn't mean they're listening to the show live, clearly.
If it's not the same person, we'll hear about it.
I'm pretty sure it is, though. So anyway, you can go check that out. It's a good way of enjoying the show without all of the commercials. Still got the line reads, obviously, because we still have to pay our bills, which includes calltofreedomlive.podbean.com. But hey, whatever. It's all good. I enjoy doing it. Actually really excited that I was able to pay Chris for hosting Call to Freedom yesterday. Only like $15, but it was
something.
It was in Bitcoin Cash as well. We need to get the website up and running. It has not been a priority, but it will be a priority going forward because we do need a place where there are QR codes for people to send us cryptocurrency if they happen to want to.
Oh yeah, that would be helpful.
It would be helpful. So anyway, all of that interesting stuff aside, the value of this show, I place a lot of value into it. But we do, of course, give it away for free to people. And that may seem like a conflict, but it comes back to what Mark was talking about, which is that at this point in time, I value the exposure more highly than I value getting paid for it. To me, I think having our podcast get up to hundreds of downloads per day, that would probably be the threshold for actually attempting to contact sponsors and stuff like that again. I was actually thinking about AnyPay Global and that we should probably contact them because we know them. So it would be a pretty easy sell.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all about value. There's really not much more we can get into on that. But we've been talking about poverty as well.
Poor people have a lot of trouble managing their money.
Yeah, and Stephen has said on DLive, that's dlive.lrn.fm, that environment is everything. And yes, a small percentage break out of the hood, but most of them see no hope or escape, especially with the boot bearing down on them constantly. I have white privilege saying that. I'm not willing to paint black people as disproportionately living in poverty, as opposed to white people. To me, poverty is not specific to one particular race of people. There are plenty of white people living in poverty. To me, it's not a racial issue. It's a mindset issue that I've literally seen play out with people. And I think here we have an interesting discussion. I don't particularly like talking about my past and my personal life and all of that, but I think it's important for me to really dive into the kind of poverty that actually exists in the United States that a lot of people don't like talking about, and a lot of people assume, well, there's no way you're from that level of poverty. When I lived with my mother in Arkansas, our water was turned off, our electricity was turned off repeatedly. We went months without water or electricity. We never had anything to eat. We ate generic spam, not name brand spam.
Store brand spam.
We ate store brand.
Where do you even
spam.
find store brand spam?
Well, it's not good. I can tell you that. Neither is spam, to be fair, but the generic spam is certainly not good.
And Steve, we ate the government butter and cheese.
Yeah, we didn't. In fact, that summer in particular was bar none, the worst summer of my life because my mom had this brilliant idea. The landlord had actually requested her to do it, to tear down this dilapidated shed in the back and burn it. So she did that. And it chased all of the fleas into the front yard.
Oops.
So she lit a fire there, attempting to chase them back into the backyard, and all it ended up doing was chasing them literally into the house. So there we are, this entire summer in this house with no running water, no electricity, and absolutely minimal amounts of food, being eaten alive by hundreds of thousands of fleas around the clock. It was absolute misery. And that's where I'm from. And you want to stand there and tell me that somebody who's living on food stamps and Medicaid, Medicare, whatever, and all of these other social benefit programs can't rise out of those situations? I'm going to call BS on that. Because they can, they just have to want to. They have to look around themselves and say, you know what, I'm not going to live like this. I deserve better than this. So I'm going to. That's all it takes. After that, you can be as resourceful as you want to be. I'm not here by accident. I have certain skills. So I put those skills to use. And after a very long chain of events that when I was sitting back on shrooms last night reflecting on it, it's actually really bizarre how I ended up in New Hampshire doing Call to Freedom, hosting a radio show. It's so bizarre. I never would have seen it coming 2 years ago.
This is not our primary skill set. Hell, I wouldn't have seen myself hosting a radio show even a year ago.
Well, I'm told that it does fall within my skill set. I'm told that I'm pretty good at it. I don't know if that's true or not because I don't really have much comparison for it. I don't know what a good radio host does. I don't really know what a bad radio host does. I just sit here and do what sort of comes naturally to me. And we managed to fill 3 hours Monday through Friday, 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
It seems to work. I mean, the listener numbers, the downloads are going up every day. So
yeah, so I mean, clearly we're pretty good at it. But it all started because I was a writer. I wrote at anarchistgmail.com. I was a blogger.
Yes, so was I. Not there, but...
Right. And eventually I wrote something. I also did podcasts. I also made YouTube videos. I was basically throwing stuff at the wall to see what was going to stick. Anything and everything was being thrown at the wall, including having written a book that I put on Amazon to see if that was going to stick, including writing music that I put on SoundCloud to see if that was going to stick. Countless little things like that while running my own company, which I started with about $550 in cash that I had saved up from being a slot technician. So it was all circumstantial, really. But I was doing all of the stuff necessary in order to facilitate something better, something that was going to, in the end, pay off. Well, Will Coley of the Call to Freedom ended up finding one of my articles. He liked it. Didn't even know I did a podcast. Invited me onto the show. Next thing you know, I'm regularly on the show, which was on Sunday nights. You did talk about race. You did say that it's white privilege to even say that people in the ghetto don't want to leave. Well, then why did you mention white privilege if it wasn't about race? So, yeah, I mean, you don't get to make it about race and then say I was not talking about race.
Yeah, you said white. You brought up race.
You literally talked about people being under the boot and how it's white privilege for you to even say that. You're the one who brought up race, dude. There's no correction for me to make. So anyway, the show moved to daily, and I made time for it. I slotted out time from my business in order to do it. It continued growing and all of that. I ended up coming up to PorkFest to host the show, and then I just sort of never went home.
Yeah, the thing is, you got out.
Yeah, I did get out. But it was because I took my skills and I put them to use.
You put in a whole lot of hard work.
I did. And finally, something paid off. And here I am in Keene, New Hampshire, with a full-time job, doing a almost full-time radio hosting thing. Actually, it's not almost full-time. It's about 27 hours a week, I think, give or take. No, about 27 and a half. So all of that, fun stuff. I enjoy doing it, and I think that's how skill sets develop in the first place. So I would suggest to any of these people who live in poverty to develop a skill set.
Anything. If you want to get out, just almost anything will get you out. You just have to actually put in the work and stick money back somewhere where your family cannot find it until you have enough to get out.
Yeah, because your family will attempt to suck away every bit of it. Every bit of it. This is the Call to Freedom. We're going to move on from this poverty discussion, so don't go anywhere. Apparently, U.S. birth rates fell to a 32-year low, so let's trigger the alt-right by talking about that.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,296, silver at $14.78, and Bitcoin is trading around $8,177. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, the U.S. State Department has issued a security alert and ordered staff to evacuate Iraq amid escalating tensions with neighboring Iran. The anti-media reports the alert was posted Wednesday on the U.S. Embassy in Iraq, reading, quote, "The U.S. State Department has ordered the departure of non-emergency U.S. government employees from Iraq, both at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad and the U.S. Consulate in Erbil," end quote. A U.S. Embassy spokesperson is reported by the Financial Times as saying that U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo had taken the decision to withdraw because of, quote, "the increased threat stream we are seeing in Iraq," end quote. The spokesperson declined to say how or when how many staff were leaving, citing security reasons. No details of the threat facing U.S. officials in Iraq were given, and there are some doubts over the motivation for issuing the alert. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. A leaked Saudi diplomatic memo claims that the government of Saudi Arabia had foreknowledge of the Easter bombings that occurred last month in 3 cities on the island nation of Sri Lanka, killing nearly 300 and wounding over 500 more. The contents of the memo, which additionally suggests Saudi complicity in the attacks, are supported by the connections recently uncovered by Sri Lankan authorities that the alleged ringleader of the bombings, Zoran Hashim, had to Saudi Arabia. Minpress News reports the document carries the Islamic calendar date of 11/8/1440, which equates to April 17, 2019 in the Gregorian calendar. That's just a few days before the bombings. The document is addressed to the Saudi ambassador to Sri Lanka and authored by Saudi Foreign Minister Ibrahim bin Abdul Aziz Al Wasaf. It carries the labels urgent and top secret. The memo carries the seal of Saudi Arabia, conforms with the format of other leaked Saudi diplomatic memos, and carries 2 watermarks. The murder of an innocent Houston couple made national headlines earlier this year, as police took to smearing their names and threatening those who didn't believe the official narrative. The Free Thought Project reports that as the months passed, it was learned that the Houston Police Department's raid on the home of Dennis Tuttle and Regina Nicholas was based on lies, and they were murdered for no reason. Now the case has reached a turning point after the family hires a forensics expert to examine the home, finding that there is no evidence the officers encountered gunfire. According to the forensics experts hired by the family of the victims, the officers who suffered bullet wounds during the raid on the innocent couple's home were shot by their fellow cops. That's a direct challenge to the official narrative, which states the officers were forced to kill the couple after the couple opened fire on them. The independent forensic investigation was conducted over the course of 4 days by forensic expert Mike Maloney, a retired supervisory special agent with the Naval Criminal Investigative Service. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
America is at a crossroads on many issues, leading many to ask, is it time for the president to blow the silver horn left behind by the Founding Fathers in case the country ever needed them? Of course, the horn, which has been sitting in the Oval Office since 1817, has never been used by a commander-in-chief, but many Americans think now might be the time to summon our forefathers. Which Founding Fathers would come back?
All of them. Look, when you have a bug problem, you call the exterminator. When you have an America problem, you call the Founding Fathers. They know what to do.
We have to keep in mind the Founding Fathers left us with a warning. If you blow the horn with less than pure intentions, it will turn to tin and can never be used.
But a president has to take risks, have the courage to admit that his administration is not all-knowing, and blow that magic silver horn to summon someone who is.
Yes, but what if we become too reliant on them and they disappear after the next new moon, as was written?
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom broadcast, as always, from the Liberty Radio studios. And as always, I am your host, Arya DeMezzo of Arya Uncensored, which will be returning this Tuesday night at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time at dlive.lrn.fm and twitch.lrn.fm, as well as youtube.com/Arya DeMezzo. It's streamed to multiple places. I no longer do the show topless, unfortunately.
That sucks.
Yeah, we did get suspended from Twitch over that.
That was fun, though.
It was fun.
That was the whole point, though, wasn't it? To trigger them?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if the point was to get suspended, but the point was to just be as trollish as possible, I guess. So, unfortunately.
Okay, so
topless,
troll face pasties.
That's not a terrible idea. In fact, it may have arrived recently. I don't know. Ian is ordering a bikini top for me that has boobs airbrushed onto it. And I'm going to be wearing those during Arya Uncensored. So that's going to be, oh my God, it's going to be great. Tune in Tuesday night at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time at dlive.lrn.fm and twitch.lrn.fm for that. As always, I'm joined by
Michael Hampton from BitcoinHistory.com.
And we're moving on from the discussion about poverty and all of that boring crap to instead talk about something that may help actually to alleviate poverty and that is going to trigger the alt-right.
Works for me.
So U.S. birth rates have fallen to a 32-year low in 2018, and the CDC says the birth rate is in a record slump.
Sounds about right. We talked, I think, a few weeks ago about how people aren't having sex anymore.
Well,
this seems to be the end result.
I guess some people aren't having sex anymore. Sucks for them. So, but it reminds me of something that Milo Yiannopoulos, I guess, said at one point. Your grandparents, 8 children. Your parents, 3 children. You, an abortion and a dog. Which is funny coming from a gay man, right? It's like, well, you're not reproducing either, you idiot.
Wait, is he gay? I've only heard of this Milo guy. I don't exactly know what he stands for or why he was banned or anything.
He is the token alt-right gay dude. He is fully alt-right and he is gay.
Okay.
And meanwhile, he criticizes, the white people for not having more babies while being
gay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a problem that ultimately lies at his feet as well. But more people are gay than ever, I would say. I don't know.
I don't know if more people are gay than ever, or it's just that more people are open about it.
More people are acting upon homosexual urges more than they were 32 years ago.
Okay.
I don't, yeah, that's a better way to phrase it, I would say. Just like more people are acting on, transsexual urges than they were 30 years ago. So the U.S. birth rate fell again to just under 4 million births, representing a 2% drop from 2017. Still lowest number of births. Obviously, this statistic does not break it down by race, which is good. It's just,
it's just, total number.
Yeah. The birth rate, of course, going down is not something that I particularly care about. I'm contributing to it. I don't have kids. I have no interest in having kids. I'm not going to have kids.
I don't have kids either.
Well, we are the problem.
We're the problem.
Mark, you only have one
having
kid.
Sex.
You're the problem
I'm
too.
just not having kids.
Right. When I think about people having kids, generally the people that I want to have kids have an IQ of 120 and above.
Yeah.
Right.
And those people are the least likely to have them because apparently they're an irrational thing to do. Otherwise, these people would do it.
I mean, everybody wants to leave a legacy, right? And I think as a sort of method of achieving immortality or continuation, I think would be a better way to phrase it. A lot of people crave that continuity of knowing that,
their family will go on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily their family. I think family is just a symptom of that, but that their existence in one form or another will continue on.
It's a cheap legacy. It doesn't cost much initially. The initial investment in having a child is low.
Yeah, but
so
it does get expensive,
space for the bed.
though.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody's planning ahead here.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
That's not the human existence.
Which is
we're not here because people have been planning ahead.
Well, it's certainly a right, and that's part of the problem is that we were talking about in regard to poverty.
The people most qualified to plan ahead are not having kids
because they planned ahead.
What does that tell you about having kids? I don't know, but it isn't good.
Yeah, I would agree it's not good.
The countries where the birth rate is highest tend to be pretty poor. Having children there seems like, fine. Why not? What do you got to do?
Right, which was my point when we dug into this article, is that it's likely to help alleviate much of the poverty in the United States if birth rates continue to decline, simply because the ratio between people to resources leans more toward
I'm not
people
sure that
getting
will,
more resources.
The problem here is the people that can create the resources are least likely to have children.
Yeah, I'm not talking about children as the resource. So I'm talking about, just money and products and goods and all of that.
As intelligent personnel goes down, yes, we need people to run factories and things like that, but pretty soon robots will outclass them because they want too much for their labor, and they can't put together the skill set to get to work on time. All right?
I mean, that is not a hard skill set.
I'm just talking about 75% of the population here, ladies and gentlemen. You are just slightly better than unemployment to your boss. Right? Like, just slightly better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's part of the problem. Not everyone is willing to actually treat work as a professional should.
Sure.
Not everyone is willing to go in there every single day and actually do the best job they can.
The ones that do don't stay in the position that it takes, the lower rungs that sort of produce all the things.
Certainly not.
They move up very quickly.
Right. But not since 1986 has the U.S. seen so few babies born, and is an ongoing slump. 2018 was the fourth consecutive year of birth declines.
Was it 2010 that was the last year that was majority white babies?
I do not know.
Yeah.
I don't think the article is going to break down it by race.
I'm telling you what I think I remember.
But I mean, to me, it's not about rate. It's not about race or
it was mentioned
any
at
of
some
that
point.
other stuff. But birth rates fell for nearly all.
Nobody
racial
ever
and
wants
age
to give
groups.
me statistics on two people with IQs above 120 having kids. So,
well, I imagine the statistics on that are pretty hard to come by.
Yeah.
But
I don't think that's on the census.
I think you're probably correct in that people who are more intelligent are less likely to have children.
I've heard the same thing.
This is the first time I've ever really heard it, but it's not surprising because the people who are intelligent are generally out there pursuing other things. And I think it does ultimately come back to wanting to achieve some sort of continuity, and most people achieve that by having children, but other people achieve it through other things. Like you have, called a freedom or whatsoever, which is not likely to leave a legacy or anything like that.
You leave an artifact, like I don't know, Jeff Bezos has Amazon that he'll leave behind when he dies. Elon Musk has all sorts of things, Tesla, SpaceX, whatever, that kind of legacy.
Yeah, but I mean, not all of
But maybe not on that scale.
Yeah, that would be my problem with those examples.
How do you quantify replacement on a human scale? So, I'm just thinking about people. In my case, my wife and I have both had one child that we know of. In my case, that I know of. She's probably pretty clear on it. But, I mean, I know people who, for instance, are in a relationship who have, like she came with a child to the relationship. He had a child with her. So you're talking about they've got two kids in their family, but he didn't produce one of them. So what's the replacement? Her womb has created two. His semen has created one. Where's the replacement? How does this mathematically work?
Well, there are 3 people involved there.
Yep.
And only 2 children.
I don't know what the third person's done.
Okay. Fair enough. Then that's an unknown variable.
Yeah.
So the number of children is also an unknown variable.
Right.
But between those 3 people, as we know, there are only 2 children, which is a declining population rate.
I see.
It's going to drop by a third through that generation, which I'm fine with. I don't particularly care what the population is one way or another, but people do, and we're going to get back into this birth rate discussion, so don't go anywhere.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Hey, I'm LRN.FM Program Director Ian Freeman. If you're listening to our free-to-air satellite feed in North or Central America, heads up. We've been on the Galaxy 19 satellite since 2010, but now our satellite provider is moving LRN.FM to a new channel on a different transponder. The current channel will stay on the air until the end of May to give you time to transition without any loss of service, so don't delay. I've posted the new channel details at sat.lrn.fm, but in case you're listening with no internet access, if you do a blind scan on your receiver, you should see the new channel at transponder 6, 11.8425 GHz, horizontal polarization, symbol rate 22,000, FEC 3/4. All that information is at sat.lrn.fm, as well as a link to our Patreon, where you can support our channels for just $2 a month. Visit sat.lrn.fm for more information about our international satellite channels, and thanks for listening to LRN.fm.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
U.S. officials assure Hong Kong that their protest is just one of many issues the White House is staying silent on, and an old guy at a hostel is down to party. This is the Onion Week in Review. Stunned officials from the Marine Conservation Institute announced this week that the past half-century of climate change and habitat loss somehow hasn't managed to take down the parrotfish. Biologists stress that despite destructive chemical runoff, rising ocean temperatures, and overfishing, the persistent little shits were somehow plugging right along like nothing had even happened.
You look at the oil spills, greenhouse gases, and God knows what else we're throwing at them, and you think, yeah, those subtropical should have been wiped out decades ago. But nope, these sons of bitches are still around and doing better than ever.
In other news, a grasshopper is dismembered by a future Supreme Court justice. A man having a great time will soon have to apologize to everyone, and Rand Paul pretends to be asleep so his dad will carry him in from the car.
This is the Onion News Network.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. And as always, you're invited to give us a call. That number is 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. And I actually don't want to talk anymore about the birth rate thing because, it, like I said, it's not really something I'm interested in. Instead, I want to talk about the latest from Iran, which is both the general saying that, you know, nothing Iran is doing constitutes a new threat. Trump is full of crap. But I have here an article from CNN about how the Iran tensions, quote unquote tensions, spotlight Trump's questionable credibility. Now, I don't even think it's Trump who is responsible for this, is it not? It's the lunatic. I can't remember his name now. The guy who replaced Mad Dog Mattis. Bolton. Yeah, John Bolton. Of course, Trump is not likely to stand up to it, but according to CNN, the Trump administration, which has disdained truth, coming to us from CNN, that's priceless, and consciously snubbed its allies, is now facing a tough burden of proof and history as it barrels toward a confrontation with Iran. Now, the same crap we're being told about Iran right now was told to us in 2003 to justify the invasion of Iraq.
By CNN.
By CNN.
Yep.
It's just a different group of people, a different media coalition now telling us that we have to worry about Iran. I don't think Iran constitutes any threat whatsoever to the United States. I don't think they represent a threat to anyone. If I recall correctly, the last time they actually attacked another country was in the 19th century.
Well, so Iran, supports, you want to call it terrorism, extra national violence of sorts. I mean,
so does the U.S.
No, and I'm not claiming they don't. I just think that the notion that Iran is somehow this peaceable force in the Middle East, I think, is somewhat misguided.
Sure, I didn't mean to imply that.
Okay, good.
Certainly,
that's all I want to say is that like so many situations here, I'm not ready to call somebody the good guys.
Yeah, I don't think I would call anyone in this particular scenario the good guys.
There's no good guys here. It's one government versus another.
Right, and they're trying to Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Israel are probably the players that we're talking about sort of in the Middle East.
Yeah, and Iran and Saudi Arabia hate each other. And
when you need to talk about Iran and Saudi Arabia hate each other, Saudi Arabia and Israel hate each other, Israel and Iran hate each other, like it's all just it's a big triangle of hate.
Yeah.
Everybody else is a puppet state of one of these nations.
Definitely.
So that includes the United States, ladies and gentlemen. You conservatives out there that think that somehow the United States' policy is, worldwide and world spanning. I'm sorry. Israel's policy is the policy of the Middle East for the United States. Israel dictates what goes on in the Middle East, not vice versa. So
yeah, it's Israel that wants us to attack Iran. That's where the genesis of this really is.
And if Israel wants to attack Iran, they should.
Well,
Israel wants the U.S. to attack.
Get down on it.
I would say that the people of Israel need to, abolish their
people
state.
of Israel need to find Netanyahu and put his head on a pike is what they need to do. And they're more likely to do so if Netanyahu acts like he's going to invade Iran. But the people of Israel can't put Trump's head on a pike. And I'm not talking about figuratively.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 1,000%.
Right. So
let's actually behead them and actually put their heads on pikes.
I'm down.
Guillotines.
Right. That's where I'm at.
Yep.
On this. And that's pretty much true for all of those nations there. And you can find people in Iran that are like, geez, I wish the U.S. would stop treating us like whipping boys or whatever. So sure, you can find people that are ready to begin to fight. There's no doubt, but they're not ready to attack. They're just ready to defend.
Well, in a lot of cases, I'm not sure they're even capable of attacking. I'm not sure Iran is actually capable of attacking the United States.
Well, how would you?
Right. I think the only countries who could are probably Canada and Mexico, and the idea of being invaded by either of them is laughable.
Russia's got ICBMs; they could attack.
That's true.
China could probably figure out some way to attack. There's some with some naval powers that could attack. Iran couldn't even do that much, right?
Yeah, they don't have ICBMs.
They might be able to get a boat.
Yeah,
travel it across the Atlantic Ocean, through, around through the Suez Canal, Mediterranean, then through, past Gibraltar. They gotta get past several of our allies in the process. Maybe so they just go around Africa to make this easy, and they finally get a boat, and then they shell New York City. All right, they could do that.
Yes, you are correct.
In theory.
Yes.
They do have the technology to do that.
They would be vaporized relatively quickly, but they could.
So the White
That's
House...
why they don't.
Yeah.
It would be unwise.
The White House, thankfully...
I'm just trying to put together how would Iran attack the United States. And if you're talking about as a country, they really can't. Now, they can fund people
I don't know if
who might do stupid things.
I don't know if we would even allow them close enough to shell the United States.
It's a good question. You can't, at this point, they're catching drug dealers, right, that are down in, off the coast of South America. The United States Coast Guard was just chased off, I think, by Venezuela relatively recently. What is the Coast Guard? Coast Guard.
Yeah. The U.S. Coast Guard, what are they doing way down there?
It's a good question.
Well, the same thing the United States is doing, sending submarines and battleships and carriers to the South China Sea.
What are those people doing putting their countries near our aircraft carriers is what I want to know.
I don't know. It's pretty arrogant of them, I would think. How dare you put your country there? How dare Russia put its country where it's going to be surrounded by our military bases and missile silos?
Indeed.
That's so irresponsible of them. Why are they creating tensions with us? So anyway, thankfully, the White House is facing skepticism about its warnings and talk about Iran, which is great. It might suggest that the Americans have actually learned something from the invasion of Iraq, which is still ongoing.
If they learn, they'll forget pretty quickly.
Well, it's been 16 years now. I don't know what you consider to be pretty quickly, but if anyone had learned a lesson about Iraq, I would suggest that, having skepticism about what they're telling us about Iran is probably a byproduct of that.
So if I would think that I can speak for young males, and young males seem to have a little more sway in the area of war than young females, if only having that sway with the young females. I think young males are probably the easiest group to convince that fighting is a good idea.
I would tend to agree.
Yeah. So I would say they start on the let's fight end of the argument, and then they have to be convinced by circumstances or logic, circumstances being far more powerful a teacher than logic, that this is a bad idea, that war's a bad idea. I started out with let's fight. And now I'm of the opinion fighting's not such a great idea. But I
came close to joining the U.S. Navy myself.
Right.
But yet the recruiters turned out to be liars.
Is it all those sailors? Is it all those sailors? Okay.
No, I wanted to enter the nuclear program, but they weren't going to let me. They're like, no, you have to agree to all of this first, and then we will test you to determine whether or not you're eligible. I was like, no, you're going to test me prior, and you're going to assure me this, or I'm not signing the paper. So I didn't sign the paper.
That's smart.
This is the call to freedom.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
This is a special alert for business owners, consultants, coaches, folks planning retirement, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is saving and investing to build a financial future. You are likely aware that financial privacy for most people has recently died a miserable death. And let's face it, without privacy, there really is no security, is there? Bankrupt governments and banks on the verge of collapse are perhaps the biggest threat to your financial future today. The Lighthouse Law Club recognizes this and has been working diligently to provide safe, secure, and productive tools to ensure your privacy, your financial security, and your future financial well-being, despite the catastrophes which many people fear are looming ahead of us. Find out more with a variety of free videos on the YouTube channel for Lighthouse Law Club. Just search YouTube for Lighthouse Law Club and secure your future today.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. As always, you're invited to give us a call at 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. And we've been talking about these Iranian tensions that are being escalated, caused directly by actions of the United States government, which isn't a surprise because they're the ones that are arming the entire world, essentially. Everyone except Russia and China are buying arms directly from us, directly from the United States government. And those who are not, like China and Russia, are just buying them from American companies rather than directly from the U.S. military. I mean, there was an image I saw, a GIF or a video some time ago about the outflow of arms from the United States to other parts of the world. And each gun that was shipped off to another country represented like 100 actual guns that we shipped to that country. And over the course of like 30 years, it just came out to billions of guns.
And they go practically everywhere.
Yeah, not to count the tanks and the jets and the bombs and all of the other stuff. The United States government is in the business of war. That is what it does.
No.
Sounds accurate. But what good's a tank these days? I mean, other than a show of force against your own citizenry.
Well, like governments need that.
Yeah, they do need that. But there hasn't been a tank battle, is what I'm saying, since Persian Gulf 1. That's probably the last tank battle.
No, Did we not use them during 2003?
Yeah. They rolled them through as a personnel suppression unit. Like you know, if your soldiers are in a tank, nobody's going to kill your soldiers. But
not easily.
Not easily. Yeah, it's tough to take out a tank.
Yeah.
However, and it gets tougher every year, mind you, to take out a tank. The tanks get better and better. The M1A1, you're just not going to do much with. It's the rare American group of 10 Americans that could take out an M1A1.
And even then, they would be Americans doing it, probably with American equipment.
Well, we were talking about civilian suppression. It's probably worth talking about the tanks being used as civilian suppression on our own soil. This is the only thing tanks are good for anymore. A tank is a show of force against your own citizens because it's not a show of force against other nations any longer. Tank battles, the last tank battle probably occurred in 1991.
That's true. And they are effective tools for suppressing the citizens. And I think we'll see them used in large numbers here in the United States. That's why they're being distributed to sheriff's department and police departments throughout the United States. Tennessee has a mine-resistant one now.
Yeah, those are armored personnel carriers or these sorts of things. But yeah, I mean, it's not a tank on tracks generally.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, the Bearcat here in Keene is not a literal tank.
It's effectively one, though.
But it is effectively one. It can be used for the same population suppression. In fact, it has been used during the pumpkin riots.
Right. So you can run a Bearcat on a interstate at 90 miles an hour if that's what you want to do. You cannot run an M1A1 Abrams tank in normal traffic on an interstate at 90 miles an hour. You just can't do it.
No.
Because it'll tear it apart. It'll tear apart the road because the tracks aren't made for that.
Right.
And, it's no longer a vehicle of much value. It's just a showpiece.
Well, when it comes to actual war, it's all about the Air Force now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it?
Yep.
Modern weapon platforms have to take in
Air superiority, dropping the drones on people.
And in the future, it will be the drones and the robots. I mean, we have these now, and we used them during the 2003 invasion of Iraq. They still require a kill command from a human in order to actually pull a trigger. But they do exist, and in time, I'm sure that limitation will be removed.
So this is what brings us to cyber warfare, the new frontier of
How
warfare.
do you find an enemy who doesn't sustain casualties when you destroy them?
Meaning the drones?
Yeah, or the robots.
Yeah.
I mean, the 2030s wars, the
AI.
2040s wars.
Right.
How could a civilian population being invaded, how could, say, the Iranian government effectively fight an enemy that they can't actually kill because the enemy is located in Austin,
New Mexico,
Texas,
right?
or New Mexico?
It's happened. I mean, they've got that's where the drones are being flown out of, or were at one point relatively recently.
Right.
It's darn difficult. Basically, you have to blow up enough of their stuff that it becomes financially untenable.
Until they don't have any drones left.
I will say this, though.
That's impossible.
You got to have boots on the ground to control a population.
Certainly.
And you can do it for a short period of time. That's why they talk about winning hearts and minds, because you can't win until you win hearts and minds. And that was managed in World War II with both the Germans and the Japanese to some extent. It was managed. It wasn't great, but it was managed.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been managed since.
I would definitely agree. And I don't know that I would even want it to be managed, because not managing it seems to make war less widespread, and because it's lasting longer in particular geographic regions. It's no longer successful. There's no longer a successful goal to waging war when we're not winning their hearts and minds. It's literally just destruction.
Yeah, it's success for the military-industrial complex. The whole reason they went about doing it in the first place was to sell things that go kaboom.
Yeah, endless war is great if you're an arms dealer.
Yeah. But, it can't be endless, and I take solace in knowing that. Eventually, the United States government will print itself out of this. It may take a while, but eventually it's going to print so much money that it's no longer able to sustain this. It's how all empires fall.
Yeah, it's a really good question as to whether or not the United States is going, like the debt is, how much of the debt is war? Because we know that the debt began either with the inception of the nation or under the Andrew Jackson administration. I think he's like 9 or 10, 10th president, something like that. You can look it up. And somewhere along there, basically everything from then, from Andrew Jackson, that war debt all compiles. We're still paying the interest on the American Civil War. The Indian conflicts, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and just you can name them after this.
Yeah, it's never been paid off, and it probably never will be.
Under the Bush administration, when he walked into office, he walked in with a $5 trillion debt. He walked out with a $10 trillion debt. Obama walked out with a $20 trillion debt. Presumably,
now we're Trump up to 22 and change.
Yeah, presumably Trump will walk out with a $40 trillion debt if these numbers hold.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't. I mean, there's no guarantee that they will. It's a possibility. But a great deal of that from the Bush administration is war debt. Probably most of what was added during the Bush administration, war debt. Obama still dealing with wars and these kind of things. And then the interest on this. Remember, the debt compiles. I'd say that all the interest that has compiled on all the wars also is war debt.
What?
Yeah.
$2.4 trillion of it, as of 2017, was simply from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
And people will say it's higher than that because that's not counting the Veterans Administration costs and a couple of other things that have to do with it too. Your VA costs are going to be significantly lower if you're not sending out young people to go get blown up for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a good way of lowering VA costs and VA waiting lines and all of this.
Let's get a bunch of mental health for our soldiers. Let's stop sending them places that they need mental help for.
Yeah.
But that is roughly 10% of the current national debt being comprised of these two wars. Meanwhile, we're engaged in at least 6.
And then you think about all the other wars that I rattled off before that.
Right, Bosnia
and the
Vietnam,
the interest,
Korea,
right? The Grenada, for God's sakes, and like all these things, you add up the interest on that, and then all the conflicts that you never heard about because they just sent in the special forces to take care of it. All the interest on all that debt that's compiled is also war debt. I kind of feel like it's at least half.
Oh yeah, I would agree. Half is a safe bet. It's probably closer to 70 to 80%.
It might be.
That would be my guess, but at least half of it.
Medicare hasn't helped.
No, it hasn't. This is the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk more about Iran and Iraq in just a moment.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. And maybe you regularly listen to the show and have been wondering how you can help and show your support. Well, sharing us on social media certainly goes a long way, but so does cash. And you can do that with Patreon at patreon.com/call-to-freedom. Our wonderful patrons there are currently helping to keep the show up and running, including the podcast at calltofreedomlive.podbean.com, and we can't thank them enough for that. So if you would like to check it out, again, that's patreon.com/call-to-freedom. You can help ensure that the show is ongoing. So I'm going to do what I do best and completely change the subject again.
All right.
Because this time, something was brought to my attention by Stephen in the D-Live chat called smart dust.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Smart dust.
It is more or less what you would expect it to be.
A drug?
No. Worse. Significantly worse. Imagine a world where wireless devices are as small as a grain of salt. These miniaturized devices have sensors, cameras, and communication mechanisms to transmit the data they collect back to a base in order to process. Now, scientists developed this so that they could study, things where life was unable to go, like inside of volcanoes and crap like this. They can just throw the dust in there and let it do its thing, right? It doesn't have to live or anything like that. But imagine the ways in which the government is going to abuse this technology.
Oh my goodness. You could literally put surveillance cameras in everyone's house.
Yes, because
in everyone's car.
Because these
everywhere.
Devices are literally
attached to people.
Well, I don't know about that, but the sensors, the communication equipment, the cameras, all of that is the size of a grain of salt. I mean, there could be thousands lying around and we would never know it. And this technology already exists. They're called MEMS, often called MOTES. They're micro electromechanical systems. They're real, and they very well could be coming to a neighborhood near you. Whether this excites you or strikes fear in you, it's good to know what it's all about. I would suggest that it should probably strike fear into you. Outfitted with miniature sensors, MEMS can detect everything from light to vibrations to temperature. So that's relatively, if they can detect light, then they are functioning cameras.
Well, if it just can detect like a level of illumination, that's
all
really
that's all color
full
is.
Video or whatever.
That's all color is.
Just brightness or whatever.
Yeah, it's just a reflection of light. So if it can detect light, it is by definition a camera. I don't know how sensitive it is, whether or not they're capable of 720p or 1080p, or whether it's much lower quality.
Seems likely.
Yeah. But if they can do video, they can also do audio. And these things are the size of grains of salt.
What runs them?
That's a good question. Let's see if they get into it. With an incredible amount of power packed into its small size, MEMS combines sensing, an autonomous power supply, computing, and wireless communication in a space that is typically only a few millimeters in volume. That's still pretty small.
Pretty small.
With such a small size, these devices can stay suspended in an environment just like a particle of dust. They can collect data including acceleration, stress, pressure, humidity, sound, and more. They can process the data with what amounts to an onboard computer system. They can store the data in memory, and they can wirelessly communicate the data to the cloud, a base, or to other MEMS.
Well, if they can detect pressure, depending on how good they are at detecting pressure, they could determine who's where in a given house.
Well, we know that the CIA has written malware that is capable of taking over your CPU fan and reading certain data on your computer and causing the fan to spin at certain speeds corresponding to that data. So they can then sense it, often through walls and things like that. They can read what your fan is doing and transfer that into the actual data on your computer.
Okay.
And
so
that's,
they can tell what you're talking about, what you're thinking about, basically.
well,
They're
they
reading
can-
your mind.
Whatever is on your computer, they're able to read.
Yeah.
If they just program their software to do it by taking over your fan and using its speed as a mechanism for communicating that.
Yep. One of the reasons I try not to use Google is because I often look up things that I have questions about at any given moment. If I'm thinking about...
Do those make their way to Mark Edge Googling?
I don't know who Mark Edge Googling is, but he's a brilliant satirist.
It is. I looked up Ian Googling as well, but they haven't had a post since like 2017.
I don't know who Ian Googling is, Mark Edge Googling.
Yours is still happening.
Yeah. I'll send him a little crypto here and there, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's nice of you.
Well, I think if he's, man, I mean, it doesn't matter whether the joke is, makes me feel good or not, but if it's good, it's worth something. And I haven't done it in a while. I probably should again.
It is often pretty funny. So since the components that make up these devices are 3D printed as one piece on a commercially available 3D printer, an incredible amount of complexity can be handled, and some previous manufacturing barriers that restricted how small you can make things were overcome. So you could 3D print one of these yourself, evidently.
Okay, now we're into anybody can spy on anybody else.
Yeah, with a camera that is the size of a grain of salt. This is not going to be good. And I understand the scientific need for something like this, but it's going to ultimately prove to be just another Pandora's box of us looking back 20 years from now and going, man, we probably really should not have developed this particular technology.
Yeah, well, somebody was going to do it eventually. So what needs to happen next is we need to develop a technology that counters this.
Yeah, it's hard to...
Good point, Michael.
I mean, if you can develop a technology, you probably should, because somebody else is gonna if you don't.
Two just
There
went
went
down again.
power
Everything
again.
went down.
Yeah, I don't
All
hear
right, so we've
anything at this
lost our computer, lost the Discord server, but we are still streaming and on the air. Aria, you can go ahead and sort out the... Is that the UPS battery? But, okay, Mark, what were we talking about?
I don't think we've got mics.
Oh, we don't have mics.
I don't hear anything in my headphones.
Check
1 2. Oh,
I can see the audio going out to Comrex.
All right,
I think we're still going out.
I can tell you that this
Yeah, it's going out vMix, so I think we're good.
it gives me a large level of angst about doing tonight's show. I can tell you that.
Yeah, you're about to start Free Talk Live here in a minute, and if this happens again,
So, would this go out on the radio?
as far as I can tell, like I said, you're going out to Comrex. The ISDN is still up, so you should still go out on the radio, even though you can't hear anything.
Okay.
If the headsets go out, you won't be able to talk to anybody on the phone, though.
That's correct. Yep. Okay.
But yeah, that does sound like a dead UPS.
Is that what it is? Is that the problem?
Yeah, something just fried the UPS.
Uninterrupted power supply?